The purpose of this video is to assist you with the lesson on vertical analyses. You should have your book open to the appropriate page. The purpose of assigning you this problem is to once again demonstrate the importance of using absolute references when they are necessary. If you have forgotten what an absolute reference is, consider going back to the lessons in your QuickBook. Some of you may not be familiar with the concept of a vertical analysis, as this topic is sometimes not covered in Accounting 100. However, it will be discussed and it involves a simple mathematical computation. We will familiarize ourselves with how the math works and when and why a vertical analysis is helpful in assessing the financial performance of a company. Here are some important notes on vertical analyses, period. You should have the handout printed out. A vertical analysis is a common analytical procedure. The purpose is to show the relationship of each component of a financial statement to a specific total within that statement. The denominator for a vertical analysis is net sales or total revenue on an income statement. Although this problem deals with the typical income statement, which has been tweaked a little bit and is called a statement of revenue and expenses, you should know what the denominator would be if you were asked to do a balance sheet. On a balance sheet, the denominator to perform the vertical analysis is total assets. For this problem, the denominator will be total revenue. Remember that every line item must be shown as a percentage of the totals mentioned above. By showing the relationship of all the components to a single line item, this allows the financial statements to be comparable. Comparable to what, you might ask? Details of changes can be compared between years, called comparative financial statements, or between competing companies, or even between competing industries. Many websites offer comparative analyses in the form of a vertical analysis for all publicly held companies. So this is an important concept for all business majors to understand. Listen and make sure you pay careful attention to what I'm going to say next. The basic setup for this problem is to have a data section that looks very similar to what the author has given you in your text. And then the answer section will compute the percentages of each line item. Remember, as a percentage of total revenue. If you set this up properly, you should be able to create one formula and copy it down. Remember, to demonstrate this problem, I have set up a company with fictitious data to walk you through the process. This company will be called the Beach Shack and will be performing a vertical analysis with the data that you see on the screen. This is a typical company that has a couple sources of revenue and a couple different expenses, and in this case they have a net income. However, you should prepare your template not knowing whether the company will have a net income or a net loss. So it's important that you be flexible. Remember to look at your model building checklist or take a look at the handout. Remember, this is how you will be earning your 20 points per problem. So remember to include planning, documentation, completeness, accuracy, appearance, and flexibility. Let's get back to the data at hand. Once again, I've set up a fictitious company, we'll call it the Beach Shack, with some basic information on an income statement and our job will be to prepare a vertical analysis. So first of all, we have a data section. Normally, I'd probably put the answer section down below, but to keep me from having to go back and forth, I think I will put the answer section side by side. So let me copy and paste this over here. We'll change it to be an answer section, and the goal of any answer section is to recompute the data 100% without having the user adjust anything. So to get us started, let me go ahead and put a 3-part heading. I'm going to stop this video while I do that. I decided to start the video back up in case you have trouble remembering the concatenate function that we talked about previously in problem M2. Concatenate is a function that can merge together text with data. So using concatenate, the first thing I'm going to do is go make sure I have an apostrophe in front of my data, which is June 30th. That'll make the formula go easier. And once I have that done, remember, you can use the function called concatenate. You can go pick it out of the formula box if you want. And on this statement, I'm going to call it for the month ended. Put that in quotes, put a comma in, and go pull my data from where it's located in cell F10. This means if I change the data section on another month, the answer section will automatically recompute. Of course, I need to center this information when I'm done, but I'll do that at the end because it's generally easiest to make final changes to your template after you have an idea of how big it's going to be. So, having done that, let me go ahead and start referencing over this cell data. I'm going to move this answer section here. The goal of the vertical analysis is to show every number as a percentage of total revenue. Usually the numbers are shown directly alongside the percentages. So first thing I'm going to do is cell reference my data section and just bring the information over. So let me go grab my clothing revenue, and again I'm just cell referencing. If you would like to copy and paste the data, you could do that, but I'm going to cell reference everything I have here all the way down. Use the fill handle. And copy it down. Get rid of these zeros that came over. It's because of some formatting issues that I'm having. Let me delete these cells. And let me go grab the rest of the problem. This could also be done with a copy and paste if you prefer that. Okay, the most important part is that the numbers will be used with cell references. So let me bring them over. Since they're all in a straight column, it makes it very easy. And it equals, go grab my cell, and then just copy it straight down. Okay, and I have some cleanup work to do. I would want to make it look just like the other cell. Remember, it's very easy to do that with the format painter. And the major part of this problem now is we want to show everything as a percentage of total revenue. So let me go make a column that will say percentage of revenue, and we'll be all ready to go. Percentage of revenue. Again, I'll do some cleanup work when I'm done, but the main part of this problem is you understand how an absolute reference works. Every single one of these numbers wants to be shown as a percentage of total revenue. So I want the top number to change, so I'll leave that as a relative address. But the bottom number for every single computation is going to be this 100,000. Because I want K16 to stay constant, I'm going to use an absolute reference. You can put an absolute reference in by placing your cursor on the cell and putting in a hard $sign, or what's more efficient is use the F4 function key, and when you press it, it will automatically put an absolute reference on it. So as I mentioned earlier in the problem, if we do this problem right, we should be able to create one formula, which we've just created, and copy it all the way down. Right now it looks like it's in a dollar format. I'm going to change that to be a percentage format, and it's probably a wise idea to show at least one percentage place. And again, here's my formula. The numerator is a relative address. The denominator is an absolute address, which means it will not move. We did that through the use of the F4 key. So let me go grab that item, copy it down. I got some cleanup work to do by getting rid of some zeros. I want the $signs to go where they should be going. Not necessarily the $signs, but the line totals. So again, there's some cleanup work to do. I want to copy these lines over to here, but in a nutshell, that's what a vertical reference looks like. So the purpose of this problem was to give you a little bit of practice with doing a vertical analysis. So again, I have some cleanup work to do. I'll come back and show you in a moment what a completed and neat looking template would look like. Right now, we're just working through the mechanics. Shortly, I'll give you an example of what a completed template would look like. So here's a cleaned up version. Here's my data section on the left, formatted appropriately, and here's my answer section on the right, cleaned up, making sure that each one of my columns has the proper heading on it. Make sure that there is no numbers down below. Everything is cell referenced, including the title, so that if any changes were made in the data section, those changes would be automatically computed in the answer section. What that means is the next time somebody uses this template, their changes would be isolated to this one column of numbers, and everything over in the answer section would recompute on its own. Remember that the goal of a 100% flexible template is to have the answer section fully compute 100% on its own without having the user make any changes. So think about that and set your template up accordingly. The answer section should also be efficient, and of course it should look nice. That includes when you print it out on the paper. Don't forget that your charts also need to be done according to the author's directions. He usually has you do it on the test data, which is the second set of data. So once again, if you have any questions or you saw something and you don't quite understand, please contact me so that I can help you. I look forward to reading your updates next week.